Hey guys, so yes, I know I know it's been a little bit since the last time I uploaded one of these parts. Actually, it hasn't. It's only been like a couple of weeks, I think. Either way, either way, yes, as you can clearly tell, I'm doing another one because yes, I have gotten more, and it took until now for me to get everything. So, without further ado, let's get into the fourth part of this now series. Okay, let's first start with the playbills. Alright, the first one we have is from the current cast of the current Broadway revival of the show that has Sutton Foster, Aaron Tveit, and Joe Locke in it. Yes, Joe Locke, i.e. Charlie from the Netflix adaptation of Heartstoppers. And if you know what show I'm talking about, of course you know it's Singing the Song of Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd. And I mainly bought this so I could say, hey, I technically have a playbill from the version of Sweeney Todd that had Charlie from Heartstoppers in it. I'm not exactly a fan of the Netflix series, but I do have the books, so I'm a Heartstoppers fan. Not necessarily the Netflix version, but I at least wanted a memento and say, hey, and just pretend like, hey, Cha, remember the time? When I'm bored, just go, hey, Cha, remember the time? Remember the time that you were in Sweeney Todd? Yes, Nick, I do. You were also in a production of Romeo and Juliet around the same time. Because for those who don't know, Kit Connor is casted in a revival of Romeo and Juliet. That's basically the anecdote for that. Okay, so Sweeney Todd. This next one is the show that I didn't necessarily want to give a chance originally, but then I listened to the cast recording and I'm like, crap, I like it. And that show is Way Down Hades Town, Way Down Under the Ground. And the funny thing, this show is very jazzy, and it if you know the show, you know it's Orpheus, Eurydice, Persephone, Hades, Hermes, and the Fates. It's very much centered on the Greek mythology, and so yeah, the original Broadway cast had Patrick Page and Rafe Carney in it. If you know what their previous Broadway production was, you'd know that was the Green Goblin and Spider-Man and Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. So that's also an obscure fact about the original Broadway cast of Hadestown. All right, next one, and the final new playbill of the video is a show that's basically a autobiography. A biography musical, and it's about one of the biggest pop stars. For those, and I don't really think I need to sell anymore. The Cher Show, bitches. Yes, that was my butchered attempt of trying to do a Cher voice. I'm sorry. For those who don't know, The Cher Show is basically the bio musical about the famed pop star Cher. And Cher is split into three different characters: Babe, Lady, and Star. And it had Michaela Diamond in it, it had Teal Wicks in it, it had Stephen J. Block in it. Yes, two Elphabas on the same stage. I was just as shook as you were when I heard about that. And I've actually seen a slam tutorial of this And Stephen J. Block deserved that Tony for this. She deserved it. And it's currently touring the US, and I don't know if it's still touring the UK. It's probably not, but I'm pretty sure it's still touring the US. Alright, next one. Going across this next one. Okay, so for the next things about the show, we're leaving Broadway and going across the pond to the West End. So, a little anecdote. You guys all know. For the first one, a little anecdote. You guys know I already have this that I showed in the first part of this series, Bad Cinderella. Well, before the bad, it was just Cinderella. And now I feel like the show it's complete because I have the program, which I am devastated they didn't have for Broadway. I mean, come on, you already had it ready to go for the West End. Why couldn't you do almost the same thing with this? I mean, so yeah, looking at the two side by side like this. This looks a lot better than this does. Like just the blue and pink alone are better contrast than the red and pink. Which now that I'm thinking about it, that's the second time it's happened. Like, and for a little bit of a nerdy tangent for a second. For Phantom of the Opera, I'm pretty sure for the West End version and the original West End version of it, one was blue, the other red, and that's sort of similar to what he's done here. And I don't think Andrew Lloyd Webber basically meant to do that, but it's kind of obvious that that's his go-to color scheme, because he also did it with Here Lies Love. But anyways, now I feel like I have now a memento from both sides of the show's life. The Rocky started had at the beginning, and then the even more so one for the end of the run. Also, I'm hoping it tours the US. I would buy a ticket to that just so I could see it. Anyways, next up, this next show is a show that the show itself was the first thing I became obsessed. First musical I ever memorized, and I've actually seen a slime tutorial of this specific cast of this production, and that is Legally Blonde the musical, the Sheridan Smith version, that had Peter Davison as Professor Callahan. You heard right. The Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison, was Professor Callahan. So, I feel like now I have a piece of Legally Blonde in my now that I have a piece of Legally Blonde in my collection, I now have a piece of the show, and I'm tempted to buy a Playbill, but I don't feel like it's necessary with this one. But it's still nice to have in my collection nonetheless. And last, but certainly by no stretch of the imagination least, okay, it's three different variations. It's three different things of the show, but it's all the same show. First, we have this little leaflet for Shrek the Musical, and this is cool enough as it is, but you do this and do that, and it becomes a pop-up. That's actually really cool. I don't know if all shows do this, but Shrek was one of the first musicals I became obsessed over, and it wasn't the first one to memorize. That still belongs to Legally Blonde, but this was actually the first West End production I followed as it developed. I followed it as Kimberly Walsh came came and left as the entire West End production changed cast except for Kimberly Walsh, who was the holdover, and then Collie Stevenson. Then the show closed. Then it was on tour for the longest time in the UK, and then it's currently on a on a revamped version of the UK tour, and that's what led to the current retelling of the US tour. And I'm kind of looking at it now. I'm kind of glad that I didn't go and see it, because it's weird. Like, from what I've seen of it, it's weird. Anyways, next, the actual program itself. The actual program itself to Shrek the Musical at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane. Oh, okay, that's funny. I mentioned the Love Never Dies, and look what's on the back. And I'm beginning to think now, programs on the US. Now I get what the British YouTubers mean by you guys have programs, because I look on the back, and like basically it's the same thing as what you'd normally find on the back of a playbill. Like that's the same thing. That's actually really funny. I didn't even realize that till I looked in it. Oh, and an even more obscure fact that I didn't know would come into it until I got it. This was actually there was an understudy slip right here that showed that Amanda Halden at this performance, the Princess Fiona, was played by an understudy. So that's cool. I like little bits of theater like that. I have other playbills that have that in it too. Like my Once Upon a One More Time one has understudy debut, actually. And then last for today's video, but absolutely not least, the whole reason I bought this is so I can have this, the brochure program of Shrek the Musical. Now it's got your standard brochure program stuff in it, like, you know, set photos and the cast again, and it's so nice to actually have this. Because, as I said, Shrek was one of the first musicals I became obsessed over. Not the first, that was Wicked. The first, but one of them. The first one I memorized was Legally Blonde, and then it was this one, and then The Little Mermaid. So now to have this, I have a piece of it in my collection after all this time. Like when I started collecting, I never thought that it would get as big as it is, because looking at where my collection started to where it is now, I'm like, wow. It started off at only a little bit, but then I started collecting, and it's like Funko Pops. Once you buy one, you don't stop collecting. It becomes addicting. So, that's about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and the next video will probably won't be a musical theater themed one. It'll more than likely be a Doctor Who video, because the new series is supposed to drop soon. So I'll be reviewing those as they come out. So be on the lookout for that. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you when I see you. Bye.